If you are watching this video, that means you are looking for 7 and 8 on 4-3. So Jesse bought this bought the speakers shown at the right. All faces of the speakers except the front faces are wood. How many square inches of wood are used to make the speakers? So we already know the front we're not going to need in our total, but I'm still going to list it and I'll show you why. And I'm separating these out in front, back, right, and left, and then the top and the bottom. I like to organize my thinking like this. It helps me attend to precision, and I feel like a mathematician on a mission when I'm able to revisit my work and see if I had any computational errors. So let's get started. I'm going to find another color, and I'm going to use this yellow. I'm outlining the front, and that's okay. You're like, well, Ms. Billman, they said they don't have that. But I can still use these measurements, which is 8 multiplied by 12, because it's congruent to the back. So I write it under back, which is 8 multiplied by 12, and that equals 96. And I don't even need to think about the front anymore. Now I have green. Green is going to be in my right and my left. I know that it is 8 multiplied by 12. The same thing, oddly enough, from the back and the front. So they share some common numbers. Now the top, it's going to be blue. And the top has, it's 8 multiplied by 8, which is equal to 64. Because the bottom is congruent to that, it is also equal to 64. Now to make my life easier, I'm going to start grouping them together so I can add. So 64 plus 64 is 128. 96 plus 96 is equal to 192. And then I'm just going to leave the yellow 96 on its own. But I need to add. So 6 plus 2 is equal to 8. And 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. And it's hard to see. I do apologize, but I'm definitely making sure I follow through with my math. And I gotta be honest, there were a couple times where I was like, man, my errors, what's happening? And it was computational. I was doing the right formula, but unfortunately I wasn't getting there with my computations. Now, because it wanted the area of both speakers, I can either add 416 plus 416, or I can multiply by 2. Either way, I should get an answer of 832 inches squared, because I do not include the front. This was very specific that I do not include the front. I'm going to erase a little bit so I can zoom in to and really focus on number 8. The glass entryway to a basement store is shown at the right. How many square feet of glass were used to make the entryway? Now, this is an entryway. It's not talking about the floor, and we'll get to that. So I'm outlining each piece that I'm using my calculations with in the color that I'm going to identify with the math. So I'm going to start with these right and left rectangles. They are 16 multiplied by 4. That is equal to 64. So that's one yellow one is equal to 64. And I'm going to color that in. This one has a corresponding side or a congruent side. So it's 64 plus 64. So that's those. Now I'm going to grab another color. It makes it so much easier on this iPad. Oh, man. I'm going to grab another color, and I'm outlining that front. Now that is a little bit smaller of a rectangle, and it's going to be 10 multiplied by 4. It shares an edge with the 16 by 4, so it's that 4. That's the height. And that is equal to 40. And I'm going to color code this. So I grab my next color, and this time I'm working with the back. That's that entrance that the people must go through. The back is 10 multiplied by, well, it's going to be 12. Now this is tricky because it says 8 and 4, but that's the total length. So I need to add the 8 and 4 together. So that's 120. Now I can grab another color, and this time I'm doing the top. The top is 8, and it's multiplied by 10 because it shares an edge with the side that has the door. 8 multiplied by 10 is 80. This one has a lot of parts, but it actually feels really cool to be able to do this correctly. Feel really powerful. So this diagonal part is 10 feet, and I look where it shares an edge with the green, and it's 10 feet by 10 feet, which is equal to 100. So I'm really organizing my work, like color-coded. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Now, this is where I really gotta lock and load everything in my brain from Unit 2. This is a trapezoid. I could split this up, but I'm going to use the formula for a trapezoid, and there are 2 of them. So I just need to be able to do 1. So the formula for a trapezoid is base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 and multiplied by the height. So my base 1 in this case is 8. My base 2 is that whole length, that is 16. I'm going to divide that by 2, and my height is 8. And you can see it because it's split between the 8 and the 4, and so my height is 8 just specifically for that trapezoid. So I have 24 divided by 2 multiplied by 8, which is 12 multiplied by 8, which is 96. Now that's just for 1 though, right? I have 2 trapezoids in here. I have the one in the front that we're seeing and the one in the back. So I could have 96 and another 96. And note that I'm not including a floor. This is just the entryway. We're not walking on glass. So, I mean, because that'd be weird, right? So I can start adding it up here. Now, this is a lot. If I had to, have a mulligan or a redoozies, I would go through and I would group these together. So it'd be, the 64 and 64, the 120 and the 40, the 80 and the 100. It would just make it so much easier to do that. So I'm going through, picking a color. I'm trying to figure my life out. And if you noticed, I did something that might not be super helpful. I'm checking my work. I'm going through and I'm like, wait a second. Did I include everything? Because I color coded everything. I have the 40. I have the 80. Well, I have that 120 for sure. That's the black, that's the blue, and that's the back. And I have the 100, which is that diagonal panel, but I only have 1 red 96. That seems like that's a problem because I have 2. And this is a common error. And I know it's hard to believe Ms. Billman does make errors, which is just scary to have to hear that your teacher's making errors, but it's true. So I have the 96 and I multiply by 2, or I can add just another 96 on here. So 96 multiplied by 2 is 192, and I can change my 96 to 192. I guess that's why the universe has erasers. It's okay to make a mistake, but it's never okay to not try. Keep that in mind. So 192. Whew, okay, here we go. We're adding. So 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Carry the 1. This is where we get some crazy numbers. 6 plus 6 is 12. Plus 4 is 16. Plus 2 is 18. And I can add the 1 and go 19, or the 8 and go 26. Either way, you know that I was sitting at home using my fingers on this, and that's okay to do too. But I end up getting 36. I carry the 3, and I get an answer of 660 feet squared. Man, thanks for hanging in there with me. I appreciate it.